Hello Year 9, my name's Mrs Routs and I'm Head of Business and Economics at Knutsford Academy. The reason you're seeing this first slide is because Business and Economics sit within the Social Sciences department at Knutsford. So if you're listening to Mr Walker's presentation on psychology, he's actually the Head of Social Sciences. So obviously I'm going to talk to you about business. It's really important, and I know every teacher is going to say this to you, that you think about what you enjoy doing and what you're interested in. GCSE business is going to be a good option for you to do if you are thinking about maybe being your own boss and running your own business one day. We do a section on entrepreneurship and how you set up your own business, how you manage staff, how you organise finance, how you'll market a business. So it's really useful for that. It also is aimed at not people who necessarily want to run their own business. I certainly never did. But just if you're interested in what goes on in the world of work, when you listen to your parents talking about their jobs or other adults that you know, and you think, well, what does that mean? What do they do? If you have some interest in what goes on out there, this will be a good subject for you to take. It's also useful to give you a bit of a head start, to be honest, to understand what businesses are looking for when they recruit staff so that you can make sure you're prepared for interview and for the recruitment process. It's also useful if you're interested in how do businesses actually get their money? Where does that finance come from? Because we teach an element of that. Then, of course, there's quite a bit around marketing. So if you're interested in adverts, why are those adverts aimed at us? Why are they on at that time? Why are there certain sponsorship deals before certain TV programmes come on? We teach you about marketing. And also why big businesses, so global brands, operate around the world and what that actually means and how they got to that stage. So if anything around that interests you, it's going to be a good subject for you to take. It's not going to be a good subject and you are highly unlikely to be successful if you're looking at that list thinking, oh, I'd rather be sitting down drawing, I'd rather be learning some geography. Please don't take my subject if you're not interested in what goes on outside of your four walls business-wise. If when your parents or people that you know are talking about Brexit and the FTA, the free trade arrangement that's been arranged with the EU, and what the implications of that are for business, if that holds no interest for you, please don't take my subject because you're just going to be bored for 2 years and probably highly unlikely to be successful. So it's really important that you don't just tick the box next to business because you don't know what else to take. It is a challenging academic subject. It is like learning a new language. There is a huge amount of terminology in it, and it is quite hard. So you need to make sure that you're going to enjoy it. Okay, more specifically in terms of the syllabus, so it's the OCR syllabus. So again, if you're listening to Mr Walker's presentation on psychology, you'll see a really similar layout from now on because psychology students at Knutsford Academy also sit with the exam board OCR. So there are 7 areas that OCR insists that you cover for this exam. The first one is business activity. And that's literally how do businesses set up, what are entrepreneurs, what's a business plan, what are business aims and objectives, how do businesses grow. It's the basics of setting up business really. Then there's an element on marketing, which consists of the 4 Ps. So price, place, product and promotion. How do businesses choose the right pricing strategy or the right promotion strategy? Then there's a section on people. So this is the human resources within a business. How does business recruit them? How does it motivate them? How does it structure its business? How does it communicate with its people? There's a section on operations. Now this will obviously vary from business to business, but operations just means how a business operates on a day-to-day basis. How does it organise its method of production? Or how does it improve its customer service? How does it improve the quality of its products, that type of thing. Also, a section on finance. There's no way you could study business without looking at finance. After all, most businesses aim to make a profit, and therefore numbers are important. It isn't difficult maths. As long as you're sort of level 3, level 4, it's percentage changes, break even, cash flow. It's not overly challenging, but there are numbers in this subject. And the finance we teach you is around break even charts, cash flow forecasts. Then there's a section on influences on business, and these are external influences. So why do businesses need to be aware of ethical issues? Why do they need to be aware of environmental issues? Obviously, that's a really hot topic, even with the global pandemic at the minute. The environment is, Boris Johnson was still quite adamant that we were going to remove all new diesel and petrol cars by 2030. So how are environmental issues affecting business? And then, of course, economic issues. The pandemic has had huge economic effects on business and on economic growth, and we teach you about that. And lastly, this is kind of a new bit that OCR have tagged in around interdependence, because the whole point is that if you're running or even involved in managing a business, you can't make a decision on operations without considering finance or people. So we kind of bring everything together to understand business strategy. How will you be assessed then? There are 4 skills broken down into 3 assessment objectives. So as I mentioned earlier, assessment objective 1 is knowledge, and there is a lot of it. There is a lot of key terminology. Business is not a general studies exam. You will not get good grades by generalising and waffling through. You've got to use specific business terminology to get that assessment objective. Secondly, you've got to be able to apply that knowledge to real situations, which is why I say you've got to be interested in what goes on outside. Your exam will be based around real business situations. So we need to do research and understand what's happening in real business situations. Why are, for example, John Lewis have announced today that they're not going to be delivering to the EU. Why is that? Well, it's because of the free trade agreement that's been negotiated and the tariffs that are going to be employed. You need to be able to understand business terminology and apply it to real life situations. And then the hardest assessment objective is analysis and evaluation. Analysis means saying how and why something will impact a business. And evaluation means making a judgment based on what you've just said in that argument. What would a business be more likely to do? What would the impact ultimately depend on? And those both come under assessment objective 3, analysis and evaluation. There are 2 external exams that you sit at the end of year 11. They're both worth 50% each. They're both an hour and a half. They both have 15 multiple choice questions at the beginning, and then there are 3 data response questions based on 3 different real businesses, which is, as I say, it's why you're aware of how real businesses operate. My email, if you would like me to give you any more information, please do contact me. That's on the screen. If you'd like a chat via Teams, then I'm sure we can always organise that as well. But I'd rather you ask the questions now rather than took my subject and then hate it for 2 years. It's painful for you and it's painful for me, and nobody gets any benefit out of it. If you know any students that already do GCSE business, please speak to them. Not everybody likes it that I teach. I'm not going to pretend that. So you need to understand which students have taken it and liked it and why, because what has made the subject enjoyable for them and why have they been successful, because that will give you an indication of whether it's suitable for you or not. I hope that's been useful. As I say, if you'd like any other information, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks very much for listening.